I beat a lot of ass in my day, and I've also been knocked down and had to bounce back. So I can give you a million excuses on earth, but I can tell you right now that I was prepared. I was ready. Even in the warm-up, I felt extremely sharp. And sometimes you just have those fights when you go out there and it's like a badass dream. You want to punch hard, but you don't punch. You want to move forward, but you're stepping back. So I had too many moments in there. And Kamaru, he came out there and he won. So I still believe I'm the greatest welterweight of all time. So now my path is getting back and getting a belt. Sometimes everyone thinks that, proving that means you go on a streak and you don't lose and you're undefeated. But sometimes the greatest champions have to face adversity and bounce back and win. So I'm looking to try to run that fight back.
I know you said you don't want to make any excuses, but talk about just how you did. I mean, did something surprise? Was his strength, his pace, was it surprising to you? I mean, what happened?
No, he didn't have a crazy pace. I mean, he was just kind of fainting and squatting, and he just made you very well aware that he wanted to clinch and he wanted to get close. And, sometimes fighters, they want to prove that they can stand with you. They want to prove they can bang. And I said that a long time ago. I said one thing, if I had to give him an attribute, his composure for a fighter who hadn't fought a long time. And he kept that composure. He stayed to the game plan. He took his time. He was patient. And, it just wasn't a good night for me. So, like I said before, we know what I'm capable of. I just look to rematch that and run that back, man. That was my fifth title defense. I feel like as a champion and what I've done in this organization that the performance may not have vouched for a rematch, but I think my resume does.
Well, that's what I was going to say, man. I'm sure you saw Colby Covington out there with the belt on his shoulder, trying to say that he's next.
I tried my best not to look at his ass. I saw him on my peripheral, and I was like, bloop. So, yeah, Colby's doing what he think he has to do to, try to put himself in the limelight. But, tonight we saw Kamaru Usman come out there focused, came out there with a game plan. And, what do I say? Do I make excuses? I've been here before. You guys see me. I got knocked out by Nate Marquardt. And what did I do? I came back running. I came back gunning, and, this is my path. Like, I don't like the path. I was in the locker room confused as hell on how could this happen. I was so ready, so prepared. But, my path has never been easy. So it's just showing me that God wants me to come back, bounce back, show you guys the champion that I am, and, dust this off and get that belt back.
And last thing for me, Tyron, immediately after the fight, it looked like you walked over to Usman and just to congratulate him. I'm just curious kind of what message you had for him there.
You got to get props, man. You're fighting against somebody that all these promos are saying I'm one of the greatest welterweights of all time. I knocked a lot of guys out. I beat a lot of wrestlers. I beat every specialist. And I've been in this game for a long time. And, him coming from the Ultimate Fighter show, it was a person that I'll have a lot of conversations about who to fight and how to do it and all these different things. So I joked around about that, but technically to a certain standpoint, he wasn't somebody that, he wasn't underneath my wing, but we would conversate. Even up to this fight, we talked in text message, and I said, I'm probably going to whoop Kobe ass first, but after that, me and you were going to fight when I thought I was going to fight Kobe. So I got to give him his respect because, like I said before, I've been on the other side of the stick a lot. I beat a lot of people up, knocked a lot of people out, won some close fights that people may have thought they won. So I just had to make sure he knew that he got my respect and he got his proper respect for winning tonight.
Tyron, it looks like Colby's going to get the next shot. If that, in fact, is the case, who do you want to fight, or would you wait till?
Yeah, this is a crazy game. I can sit here and say, oh, I get the shot, whatever, but, you never know. People get injured, things happen. Kobe might pull a couple more stunts and kick himself out the title fight. So I'm going to just be prepared. I think, like I said before, as a champion, took out Robbie Lawler, who was, fighter of the year twice, defending his belt 4 times, I feel like a rematch. Kobe's been kind of sitting around and trying to call shots. So, but if that's what the organization wants to do, this is their organization. I'm blessed to be able to fight here, make a living, and prove that I'm the best in the world. So, to be honest, I really don't have a person in the back of my mind.
And I wonder, did this performance kind of remind you when you fought McDonald? Where?
Yes, I said that in the locker room.
Yeah.
It was a Roy McDonald fight. I was equally prepared for that fight. And it was like everything that I was telling myself to do, my body wouldn't do. I told my coach Dean, I was like, I want to apologize to you guys because y'all worked so hard and I was so ready. I said, but coach, I'm gonna just be real with you. Like tonight, it was just weird. I was just flat, and I don't even really know why. But when you're on this stage, you can't have a bad night. You can have a bad sparring day. It's times like I've been open about this. I don't win every sparring day, and if I do, I'm training with the wrong people. It was times I lost a sparring day, and I said, Coach, we got to run that back tomorrow, and we do it again. But you can't have a bad night in the octagon, and tonight I had one.
Tyron, we had a press conference across the street a few weeks ago, and you were asked if you felt that you were maybe spreading yourself too thin with all your commitments in show business, because you have been very, very busy, and I know that stuff takes a lot of energy and focus to do it. You've been very active in show business, so in retrospect now, do you think maybe that you have spread yourself a bit too thin?
You know, a lot of these things, you know, like the music, I got an album dropping. Actually, it's already dropped. I can go grab that. Chaos Theory by the Archangels. That's been a year. So I didn't just record that whole album during training camp. The album was done. And when I was in Hawaii, we put the final touches on it. You know, movies take a whole year to come out. TV shows take 6 to 8 weeks. So when I get in training camp, I get in training camp. Yeah, you know, but it is something that I'll look back and be like, you know what? I got a lot of energy, focus on making sure everything's going, you know, to where it's supposed to go, P's and Q's, all these different celebrations or whatever. And, you know, as I was doing it, I was like, no, I'm training my ass off. And if I train 4 to 6 hours a day, the rest of the hours a day, I can do whatever the hell I want to. I don't have to sit down and watch Netflix. I can go to the recording studio. I can read a book, or I can work on different businesses. So to answer your question, I don't believe it did, but I'll sit back with the team and we'll reevaluate some of that stuff. There was
a moment during the fight when y'all were in a clinch exchange, and Usman hit you with several right hands to the body. They weren't, you know, real hard. He wasn't winding them up, but there was a lot of them. Did that affect you?
No, the right hands didn't affect me, but he did elbow me one time. I was like, fuck that, because I done been elbowed up a couple times against Nate, so that got my attention quickly. But he was just smart tactically. When you in the clinch, the referee told us he's going to give us a couple warnings before he breaks us. So he was throwing those punches to maintain position. It makes sense to lean on me if you really think about it from his standpoint. Does it make sense to just stand out in the open and just trade? Probably not. You know, maybe he can hold his own, but in the larger scheme of a game plan, it makes sense to push me against the cage, try to get me to the ground, try to control position, and stay close to me as possible, and get me thinking about your wrestling attack. So I don't think he was even throwing them to try to hurt. You know, body punches and knees. You know, if you can't take a punch to the body, you need to get out of UFC.
And lastly, did you sustain any injuries in there? Anything serious or?
No, just a big ass lip and my eye a little sore, but outside of that, I'm healthy. And that's, you know, I mean, it sucks to take that away, but if you think about 3 of my last 4 fights, I had injuries that require surgery. So though this sucks and I feel like crap, watching somebody walk around with a belt that I feel like is mine, I didn't sustain any injury that I think is going to cause surgery. So now I can, you know, get back on the grind and get ready to fight again.
Thank you.
Tyron, you said you didn't feel quite right in the fight, that things just weren't going the way that you thought they were going to go. When did you recognize that, and were you talking in the corner about making any particular adjustments?
Yeah, you know, and I don't want to say that like I didn't feel right to make it seem like Usman didn't come out there and deliver. He came out and delivered. That's flat out, you know, and I just personally know, and you guys personally know what I'm capable of, and it was an uncharacteristic fight of me, you know, so I kind of knew early on, and, you know, sometimes when I start a fight, if I come out blazing, I come out with combinations, I kind of get in that rhythm, I stay in that rhythm. This time, it was just something real weird. It was like, you know, he was dropping down and squatting all low, and it was almost like I was hypnotized, like, I know you're about to shoot. I'm trying to time when you do it so I can try to hit you with this uppercut. And then, you know, I think I just got to the point where I was just kind of waiting on him to shoot. And then in fighting, you wait too long, you know, you might get the shot, but you might get some right hands, you might get a kick, you might get something else. And then I just really never got in a rhythm. And in a fight, especially one of this caliber, you know, you want to kind of set the precedence early.
Hey, Tyron.
What's up, my man?
You had mentioned 185 a few times in the lead up to this fight. Is that at all a possibility, or are you focused on staying at 185?
Man, I got to get that belt back first, you know. I mean, I can't leave my division like that. You know, I got to go back and get my belt back, and then from that point, yeah, I woke up to 185 and try to grab that belt. But right now, like, that's what's confusing me. I had this whole game plan about beating this guy, beating Kobe, going to get the 85-pound belt, defending her, you know, and then sitting down and saying what the hell is next. So now, a detour. I got to go get my belt back. Probably, you know, defend it again, because I can't assume if I beat Usman that a rematch wouldn't go for. So I probably have to fight that division a couple times before I try to go up and grab the other belt.
And then just last thing for me, the fight before yours was Ben's fight, and it was kind of crazy and wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught any of that before your fight.
Yeah, I can't watch my friends' fights before. So I seen him get hit with a couple shots, and I just turned to the side because, I don't want my emotions to get involved with it.
Okay.
But it looked like he had a choke, right? And the referee thought Robbie was out, but he wasn't out. Is that true? What happened?
He said he wasn't out, but I don't. I mean, it's
It
hard to tell.
looked like it, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I talked to Robbie a little bit afterwards too.
First thing I want to say, Salam alaikum, alhamdulillah. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank everybody for the show all week. Everything that you guys put together, especially you media, whether good or bad, at least you're writing about something. You're writing about me, and you're giving me that platform to be able to inspire and motivate. And Nainja, we don't do a telese, we go do a telese. We know the ever karelas, and we don't do it today. Make everybody stand up. Nainja, we don't day. First question.
Kamaru, couldn't help but notice you came in a wheelchair here and limped to the chair. So give us an idea of what's going on, what your status is.
Man, I've said it. When I came in, I said this is what I was going to do. I said I was coming for that welterweight strap, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from attaining that and achieving that. For a long, long time, I've been on one leg. I've been fighting fights on one leg. When I fought in the Ultimate Fighter finale, I had microfracture surgery, and that's usually an 8-month recovery turnaround. I had to fight 3 months after that, and I fought 3 months after that. And I had to train through that, with that. I've been on one leg the whole time. And coming into this fight, I was in a boot all week. I fractured my left foot, and I was in a boot. I was walking around in a boot. But nothing was going to deter me from achieving what I've been, what I've set out to achieve. And so, I'm hoping that I can go back and have the doctor really look at it. Now I get a little bit of time. Now, I don't want that much time because, there's a couple of guys I need to beat up, but I need a little bit of time to let these injuries heal so I can not just be 30%, so I can be 100% inside that cage.
You mentioned you've been on this journey for a long time now. Not only did you complete it, but you made history as the first African-born champion. So just give me an idea what the emotion is like. I'm sure it's still setting in a little bit, but what does it feel like right now?
Yeah, it's I always envisioned that and knew, hearing them saying and Dana wrapping that belt around me, and just knowing all the things that I was fighting for, not just for me and my family, and not just for the continent of Africa, but for everyone all across the world that come from humble beginnings, that don't know when their next meal is going to come from, don't know if they're going to get clean water the next day. I was doing this for everyone. I was doing this to motivate, to inspire them that, just because they're in the current situation, that's not always going to determine where their life is going to be later on. So, this was for everybody.
You dominated from pretty much start to finish, but I wonder, is there a moment in the fight where you said, I know, I've got this. This is done?
I think about, I heard 30, actually no, maybe about, I heard 30 seconds, and then I was thinking, okay, I need the clap. I need to hear that clap. In the 5th round, once I heard that 10-second clap, I said, okay, I think I just became a world champion. Nothing but respect for TYRON. I respect that man. I remember when he won the title, I was at his after party, and me and Rashad brought me in, and I got a chance to sit up there next to him, and we sat down. He was just chilling, and I sat next to him, and I whispered in his ear, and I asked him, and I said, hey, how do you feel now that you're champion? What's the difference? And he told me, he said, nothing really. I still feel the same. And at that moment, I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I can do it. I mean, Rashad has been pouring into me the whole time, telling me that I will be able to do this. And, you say it. I said that, I'm coming for that welterweight strap, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. I'm a math guy. Okay, that's the answer. This is the formula. Now we got to work out the problems in order to be able to get there. And, tonight was my night.
Last thing for me, I know you want to heal up first. It takes some time to address that, but I'm sure you saw Colby Covington cage side. I mean, Is that the right fight for you?
Can I
Tyron
curse
like
up here?
rematch. What's that?
Can I curse up here?
Of course you can.
I want to fuck that guy up so bad. I can't be in a room with that guy. I can't be in a room with him. It's like, I just can't. And, you know, I can't wait to be healed up and really get to put my hands on him. You know what? That's one I'm going to enjoy, brutalizing him.
Kamaru, congratulations. You talk about, you know, wanting to make a difference in people's lives in Africa. Are you going to do anything? Like, are you going to visit there? Are you going to do any kind of charitable acts? I know when I talked to you, you said, just watch what I do when I become the champion for those people. So I'm just kind of curious what your plans might entail.
We've got some things cooking. I mean, you know, in my village where I'm from, they're still not running water everywhere. People are still struggling to get clean water. So we're going to put something together. I have an excellent team, a great manager, and we're going to put something together. We're going to start an amazing foundation, and we're really going to change lives.
So when you said you came from a village with no clean water, did you have running water when you were a kid there?
We didn't have running water. Water we get from wells. And there was a stint where I lived with my grandma. We had to walk miles to get water, bring it over to the house, and you had to boil the water because you never know what parasites were in the water. So you had to boil it just in order to be able to cook, to wash your clothes, to shower, and things like that. And a lot of people are still suffering from waterborne, you know, diseases like malaria is very common there. A lot of people are still suffering from those. And so this is just part of the problem. There's so many things that are the problem, but you know, we're going to look to work together and create something to where we can make life better for everyone.
And I'm just curious, you know, because I'm guessing that poor people like that, they're not watching the UFC, right? So how do they, you know, I know you, when you were a kid, knew about top fighters, you know, Muhammad Ali or whoever. How do you find out about those people, and how do you become an inspiration to them when maybe they haven't seen you fight before? Like, is it just because you're the first African? Is that why it would be inspirational to them?
I mean, not every kid has seen Michael Jackson, but I'm pretty sure they know who Michael Jackson is or of him. And that's what I want to do. I want to create a legacy to where people are going to know about, hey, did you know of the Nigerian Nightmare? Did you guys realize that there was 2 other Nigerian Nightmares in the building tonight? Samuel Peters, WBC heavyweight champion of the world, was in the building tonight. Christian Okoye, Kansas City Chiefs, was in the building tonight. And that was monumental. I never watched a game from him, Christian Okoye. I never actually watched a live fight from Samuel Peters, but I knew these were Nigerian Nightmares that came before me. And it was just amazing. I mean, that's just how it goes. When you leave a legacy and you leave an excellent body of work, it will trickle down and people will find out about it.
Did you invite those 2 guys? I mean, was that specifically your invitation that they came?
Absolutely. I reached out. I worked with the UFC. Obviously, excellent team once again back here, and they made it happen. I said that I wanted those guys here. I wanted to pay homage to the guys that inspired me, even though they didn't know they inspired me. Like I said, I never watched their game. I never watched their live fight, but I've watched highlights. Once I found out about these guys, I had to look them up, and I had to research them, and I did, and they inspired me. And so I had to have them here and pay homage to these guys.
Sam Peter could bang. He was a killer.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
My last question, if you say you were 30%, what were you limited in doing? Because you took a guy that some people were saying was the greatest welterweight of all time, at least in that conversation. You neutralized his offense almost 100%. So what were you limited in doing? Because it didn't look like you were too limited.
Yeah, to this day, people haven't really seen me open up my kicking arsenal. I can kick, everybody. I can kick. I work with one of the best striking coaches in the world, Henry Hooft, and we can kick. And people really haven't seen that. I've been on one, like I said, I've been on one leg for years now. So being able to open up and use my kick would make me so much more dangerous. It wouldn't even be fair once I start to use some of the weapons that we work on. But when I get in these fights and I have to go through the ringer to prepare for them, and I know that I'm not 100% going in, winning is the most important thing, and dominating is the most important thing, and that's what we've been doing.
Congratulations, Kamaru. Right here. Congratulations. Yesterday, Israel Adesanya was very adamant to make it clear he wanted you to become the first Nigerian-born UFC champion. Have you had a chance to speak with him yet and get his congratulations?
Izzy is my boy. Not after the fight, no, not yet. But Izzy's my man. I mean, a rare talent. And I met Izzy before he even got into UFC when he was fighting over in China. Rashad Evans was over there, and he said, "There's another Nigerian here. This is another Nigerian here." And Rashad watched him fight over in China, and Rashad said, "This guy was going to be a problem." And Rashad FaceTimed me with Izzy sitting next to him. And we spoke Pidgin in our native tongue, and we introduced ourselves. And I said, man, that guy was going to be a problem. And lo and behold, the next year, he comes to our gym to help Vitor train for John Jones. That's when I watched him train, and I said, this guy's going to be a killer. And here we are now. And back-to-back months, Nigeria can have 2 champions. Of course, he has a tough fight because Kelvin Gastelum is no slouch. But where have you ever seen that done? You know, coming from humble beginnings like we have, Nigeria, Africa could have 2 back-to-back champions in just months. And not to mention, Francis Ngannou is staring at that heavyweight title right now. So, you know what? I've said it, 2019, we might possibly have 3 West African champions.
Kamaru, you've had Rashad with you all week. What's it been like for the roles to be switched between the two of you? Instead of you being in his corner and helping him train, now he's been behind you.
Well, I mean, you got to kind of really ask him because I don't know. You know, Rashad is in this transition to where he's transitioning out from being that badass dude that I came into the sport knowing. He's still that badass dude to me. Sometimes I feel like because he's so humble. He's so humble to where sometimes I feel like he doesn't even realize it. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, you could still fuck guys up. Yeah, you had a little bad stint here, but you could still kill these guys. But he's so humble to where it's, you know, it really floors me. But one thing that, you know, the way I was raised, for someone like that was so instrumental in my life, I owe him so much that I have to do everything to make him proud because he invested a lot in me. So, you know, I hope tonight I did a little bit in making him proud.